There may be nothing else like it, running off the sheer edge of a mountain and flying.
I wanna be high, so high. I wanna be free to know the things I do are right. I wanna be free, just me, oh man.
They have come to Lookout Mountain from 6 countries. And hang gliders don't just suspend like puppets beneath their kites. They are true pilots, hooked on the wind, the sky, and this real feeling of flight. One of the best in the world is Rob Bailey of Great Britain.
You get the third dimension on the world. I fly in Yorkshire Dales and it's fantastic. There's, you can see down where you've been camping and where we used to go potholing and tickling trout in different places. And to see it all from 4,000 feet is just a dream. It's fantastic, silent. You fly over villages, people walking about, shopping, and nobody knows you're there. You're just floating under clouds and then picking the next cloud to drift onto. Free as a bird. Fantastic.
When you take off, you're taking off, you are the aircraft. You move your body around, and you move it around the same way as a hawk would move it around or an eagle would move it around. And it's really the most satisfying thing.
Brian Milton of England is one of the men responsible for the beginning of the American Cup competition. It all started with a bet that American Tracy Knaus made with Milton.
In '77, I basically made a wager against Brian Milton of England as to who had the best pilots. A $5 wager, and they came over here to prove it. They brought 8 men, they beat the pants off us.
And the English also won the second year. But this year, the Americans have advanced new gliders, and they're looking for revenge. Now, all this grace, all this flying around like the birds is fine. But for the Americans who want the American Cup in America for a change, this is serious.
For me, it's a lot of concentration and awareness. That's what it boils down to. You hear a lot of people talk about the serenity and the peacefulness of hang gliding, but I think that's much more the exception than the rule. Most of the time, you're concentrating very hard and making decisions.
And what kind of decisions do hang gliders make? Well, the pilots are all given the same task to perform on the same day. Today, they have to maneuver around 3 pylons, these flags in the trees, and then they race for the landing field. This is the only team hang gliding competition in the world. So up in the air over Georgia and Tennessee are Canadians, Australians, French, British, and Brazilians, in addition to the Americans. Now, hang gliding must be a thrill for pilots if they travel thousands of miles just to do it.
Most people who watch this have never been hang gliding. 90% of them haven't.
Yeah.
How can you help me describe to them what it's like to do this?
Well, you should go for a lesson.
Okay, Rob, I will. And Matt Tabor of Lookout Mountain Flight Park has agreed to show me how it's done. He took me to a training hill in the valley below the mountain. There I learned all the things you have to know before you fly. Before I knew it, Matt had me in a harness, showing me how a glider is controlled by shifting your weight.
Okay, the ground's coming up. You don't want to hit the ground, so you push out a little bit. Good. All right, now you're up too high. You want to move in. You're going to be constantly making adjustments, nice, subtle adjustments.
Now see the subtle weight shifts other beginning pilots were making.
The secret to a good flight is a good launch. And the secret to a good launch is letting the glider come up off your shoulders and inflating and flying, and then you're just running with it.
Then Matt had me running with the glider.
Nose a little higher. Go to the left. Go to the right. Go to the right. The right side. This side. Okay, what'd you forget to do?
Finally, it was time for me to try it. I ran as hard as I could, and miraculously, the glider began to lift me up. And I was flying, and noticed the subtle control I had of the glider, especially my pinpoint landing. I tried it again, and as you can see, I never quite got the hang of landing. And now that you've seen some bad landings, here are some good ones. The best pilots in the world are coming in from today's task. Some of them hit the middle of the landing spot. Others had a harder time. Points are awarded for an accurate and upright landing, but not nearly as many as for accuracy and speed on the course. This was the last day of 7 days of competition. And when it was over, the British, winners for 2 years, did very well. The highest score went to an Englishman. But this is a team event, and the best overall team was the Americans. And the American Cup will stay in the U.S. for the first time since the event began.
We got beat, basically. Just, we got beat by a good team on a good glider.
The leader of the French team was also disappointed.
We came poorly prepared for the competition. We didn't arrive early enough, and the first 2 days they used us to wipe the floor with.
We had, I think, greater team depth, better gliders, and this year we just weren't going to be denied. The British had won 2 years running, so we wanted it back. It's immensely rewarding. I mean, you can do what the birds can do. I doubt that we feel like a bird, but we're able to do the same things.